Hello and welcome to the Tiny Human Knits podcast. My name is Laura and I'm coming to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, where I live with my boyfriend, our dog, our cat, and our rabbit. You can find me online as Tiny Human Knits on Instagram, Ravelry, Etsy, and YouTube, and I will have all of the designs, yarns, although most of the yarns are mine. Anything I talk about will be linked in the description box down below this video. And first of all, pardon the hair. I've decided to go full Elise Myers today, and it's just a little bit fuzzy. So it's just what we're working with. And yeah, it is currently August 29th and Monday. We're hanging out. I already filmed this earlier today, and this is becoming a bit of a weird theme. I think I'm gonna have to get used to this, where I, like a toddler, kind of need to be worn out before I sit down and record this, because if I'm too energetic when I do it, I have a tendency to just spew everything out. So the last few times I filmed an entire thing and then just like, wait, no, that's incoherent. And then I have to sit down and like calm myself down and do it again. So yeah, that seems to be a bit of a theme. So I did a bunch of work, I did a workout, I had a shower, so hopefully now I can like be an even keel. Anyways, I am currently wearing my Marseille sweater by PetiteKnit, and I knit this out of my own hand-dyed yarn in the Dusty Plum and Pale Mushroom colorways. And I finished this not too long ago, actually, and I can finally wear it. It is a little bit on the cusp at the moment. It is a little bit later in the day, and it's like not a cool day. It was cool this morning, and it's been cool overnight, which is delightful. So I am pushing it a little bit with this sweater. I'm probably gonna overheat, but that's a problem for later, Laura. And it's fantastic. I really, really want to make another one of these, although it's going to have to wait in line with the rest of the 10,000 things that I've got on my list. It keeps growing. This list keeps growing, and there's a beautiful crochet and knitted cardigan that I want to make, and I might show a picture of that later. It's so beautiful. I kind of want to wait until I have it started though, so I can show the block. I did a gauge swatch. This is a rambly beginning. I did a gauge swatch for this cardigan. I only did it in the one color. It's in like 4 colors, but I now know like what hook size I need to use, and I want to start that because it's like modular, so you only do. Anyway, it's been a little over 2 weeks since my last episode. I don't know if this one's going to be any better. But I have a few finished objects to show you. Let's start with that. Okay. My first finished object is something that was half finished last time. Actually, to be perfectly honest, a lot of these were half finished last time. But it is a pair of socks, and I finished these last night actually, and blocked them overnight. And they are my Jolene socks. So this is my own hand-dyed yarn, and this is a colorway that will be coming to the shop in September. I'm thinking probably mid-September-ish. I will film a podcast episode before I put up the shop update showing everything that's going to be going into the shop, and I'll also be announcing it on my Instagram. I announce most things on Instagram, or I try to. I am a little bit forgetful. Anyway, these are my Jolene socks. This is the colorway that's based off of a shirt that a lady who was named Jolene, who was working at the chapters, was wearing, and I like them a lot. And my basic personal recipe for socks, I have a size 6.5 women's, like North American 6.5. I cast on 56 stitches on a 2.25 millimeter needle, 15 rounds of 2x2 ribbing, and then I knit until it's the same length as my index finger. which is how I usually go about my measurement. That's how all my socks are the same length. I knit it for the length of that, and then I put in a heel flap and gusset, and I do a slip stitch heel flap with the garter ridge on either side, so you knit 3 on either side on every row. And then I do 16 garter bumps before I do the heel turn, and then I just do all the decreases and knit 77 rows before I start the toe decrease from the base of the heel. And I do that for almost every single pair of socks, which I have many. I have many. I have so many pairs of socks that I've never worn, because this is sort of a funny thing. I don't wear socks unless it is the winter time and I'm putting shoes on. That's pretty much the only time. I don't wear socks like recreationally. I wear them with a purpose, which is hilarious to me. That's my first finished object. My second finished object is also a pair of socks, and these are also going to be going into the shop. The colorway will be going into the shop in the middle of September. The next few socks that actually I shouldn't even say the next few. Have I ever shown a pair of socks that wasn't a colorway? I cannot remember the last time I knit a pair of socks that wasn't a sample. Anyway, so these are finished. These are my Toil and Trouble colorway. Gus is stiffing the floor for some reason. Sometimes he finds ham there, so he's looking for ham. Are you looking for ham, Gussie? Can I have a kiss? No? You're shy? Come here. It's Gusser! Hi! You looking for ham? Can you come a little closer? Come here. It's Gusser! Hello! Gusser's 11 years old. Thank you. Thanks. He also broke his leash the day before yesterday, trying to get to another dog whose name is Hazel May, and she's a delight. Okay, go sit down, okay? Go lay down. Go lay down, Gussie. Go lay down. Thanks for the interlude. Go lay down. He's determined I take him for a W-A-L-K. But later. We'll do that later. Sorry. So these are knit exactly the same way as my other socks. They all are. But this colorway, I love it. It's pretty out of my wheelhouse. Actually, so are the Jolene socks, to be perfectly honest. I think it's because when I ordered a bunch of new dyes a while ago, when I realized that the brand that I always buy, the one color, was totally wrong, I kind of just ordered a bunch of colorways from Dharma, and I'm kind of just experimenting with them a little bit. So there's a lot of colorways that are just a little different than my previous ones. Those are 2 pairs of socks. And my sort of goal for the next few weeks is just to finish up all of the sample socks of the colorways that are going into the shop. I like having a full pair of the new colorway before I put out the colorway, because if I don't, which I've done in the past, I get single socks, a whole stack of them. I have a huge stack of just single socks that haven't got their partner yet in the last few years. I should actually show you that later. It is a bit ridiculous. There's so many. Whatever. Okay, so my next finished objects are absolutely adorable. I'm so glad to have these done. I was getting a little sick of them by the end. I don't know why I keep choosing, like, oh, I'll knit a baby garment, it's fast, and then I choose something that's either fingering or sport weight on super small needles. But I finished both of the Ray's baby sweater by Nash Knits. These are so cute. I'm so excited to send them to my cousin. If you haven't watched before, I'm making a sweater for each of one of my cousin's 4 kids. She just gave birth to twin girls, identical twin girls, I think about 2 months ago, and she had 2 older girls. So, and they're all so cute and sort of fairy-like. They've got like white blonde hair and they're super cute. Anyway, so these are for the twin girls. This is, again, a pattern by Nash Knits. It is knit in sport weight yarn on 3mm needles. So it took a while. And it's just so cute. It's so cute. So the way this pattern works, I think I explained kind of before. You cast on from the bottom and you knit up until the underarm. And in the pattern, it has you cast on these sleeves provisionally and then you knit them later. But I just knit the sleeves as well, like before I did the body. And then when the body got to where the underarm connects, I just added the sleeves to the body. And then you do some short row shaping and, pardon me. And then you knit for a little while. And then you leave those stitches on hold while you knit the lace portion. So you cast on the lace separately, and I think there was 11 rows of the lace pattern before you connected the two, and then you put them, like kind of stack them on top of each other, and you knit the 2 different sections together. So it's seamless, there's no sewing or anything like that. And it was super satisfying to do. It's just that it was so many stitches. You cast on 240 stitches for the lace, for the bottom of the lace, which is bonkers. It's a baby sweater. It's the same feeling I had when I knit my nephew Axton the Friday baby sweater last year, which is silly because I'm now knitting myself a Friday. But it's so cute. And then once you get to about an inch away, inch and a half, 2 inches to inch and a half, no. From the top, you have a keyhole, so you are knitting back and forth, and then you cast on stitches for the I-cord, which is super nice. And it's such a nice finish. Like, I love an I-cord edging. It's so smooth, and it's a nice big opening for a little baby head. And so I knit the 6 to 12 month size, I think. So this, it's kind of, sort of a Christmas present. So they'll be 6 months, like right around Christmas, like when this will be a wearable sort of thing for them. Oh, I'll show you the other one. They're exactly the same, so there's no real, there is no difference between them besides the color of the body and sleeves. So they should be able to wear them for a while. I'm really looking forward to seeing pictures of it. It's gonna be so nice. But I knit this out of a organic non-superwash wool. I never actually said what the company was last time, but this is some very deep stash. I've had this in my stash for years. It is Quince & Co. Chickadee, which I will say the yarn is beautiful. It knits up beautifully. It's so soft. It blocked beautifully. I do not support this company. There's been some things that have come out in the past where they do not treat the people that they employ particularly well. A little bit of exploitation kind of stuff. Anyway, I have not bought this in the last few years, but it's just I have a weird amount because when it must have been like 6 years ago, I actually won some in a giveaway on Instagram, and then I bought more to sort of go with what I want, and I've never used it because it was one of those things where it's kind of too nice to use on just anything, and then I had weird amounts. This is a long story long. Anyway, that's what I used. I used almost exactly actually, the pink one, I used exactly 2 balls of the chickadee for the like whole body and sleeves. But because, yardage is different for each kind, I had to break into a third one a little bit for this gray color. Do I have anything else to say about this? 3mm needles. I use Addi fixed circulars for this. What else can I say? Oh, and this is something I mention on quite a few of my podcasts, but when I do a 1x1 rib, which I do have on the bottom of this, I do it from the wrong side. So this is what it looks like on the right side of the garment, but I cast on and knit it from this side. And I do that because my purl stitches are tighter in 1x1 ribbing, so the knit stitches on the wrong side are neater. Something I've mentioned quite a lot. I do that every time I have 1x1 ribbing. I will, if it's cast on from the bottom, I'll do 1x1 ribbing, and then when it goes to stockinette, I'll do a German short row on the first stitch and turn it inside out essentially. But if it's on the bottom of something, I'll do a German short row and then start my 1x1 ribbing from the wrong side. It's just something that I find nice. I do have to do a little bit of steaming on this one because the peaks of these little leaves are curling up a little bit because of the way I put it down on my desk. It's a bit awkward to block, but it's super cute. I finished these and immediately like deleted the pattern from my phone because I never want to make it again. Ever. So those are my finished objects. I will move delicately into my works in progress. So I have my last works in progress that are going to my cousin. Like I said, I'm making a sweater for each of her daughters. So I already have one for her second oldest. And I am making the exact same sweater for the oldest, but in a different color and different size. So just to recap, I made the Fiola Genser, and that is by this person. I do not have the ability to say anything Norwegian with the right accent, but this is the pattern. I've already made it. I bought it in the Norwegian because they haven't had it translated yet. And, pardon me. This is the one where I just put it into Google Translate and it actually translated fantastically. It's really easy to understand if you have experience with knitting like a raglan sweater. If you don't, it would be confusing. Some of the words do not translate directly. But this is the one that I made for the second oldest. It was initially intended to be for the oldest, but I don't know if maybe kids are really small in Norway or if something else. But I realized that this one would just be too small for a 4-year-old to wear for like a good amount of time. So it's going to go to the 2.5-year-old so she can have it for a good long while. And I knit this out of my Gilly colorway on my fingering weight base held double because it is a DK weight pattern. And the one I'm making for the 4-year-old, or the one who will be 4 in December, is right here. And this is the 6-year size. And it's heckin' cute. It's not too much bigger than the 4-year size, so it should be pretty good for them. It won't drown her. She's a bit delicate, but it won't drown her. But I am making this out of 2 strands held together of my cupcake colorway. And that is this very nice little pink with speckles. So it's kind of the same vibe as the Gilly. And that's kind of what I'm going for. I want it match, not match, because it's kind of the same as the twins. And I just think they're all gonna be so cute. So the older girls are getting superwash sweaters because my sort of thought process was the older girls' sweaters are going to be worn more often and can be passed down. So I wanted them to be machine washable if necessary, or have the ability to be machine washed, so that, you know, when they're tumbling around in the dirt and all that, they won't have to worry about not being able to wash these. I wasn't too concerned because the baby ones are non-superwash, but they're probably not going to be wearing them that often. It's kind of a fancy sweater. It's not something I can see my cousin putting them in casually, and like if she does, fantastic, but it's not something that I'm really worried about them getting dirty, because if they get it dirty, like, they can wash it, and I've sort of volunteered another cousin of mine to wash it if need be. But it's not, they're not going to be in heavy rotation. It's a 6-month-old baby. Like, they're going to grow out of them in 5 minutes, you know? So I'm not really as concerned. And she can just keep them, I don't know. You know what I mean, though, right? Like, it's not a huge concern. If they were bigger kids, and I might keep making them sweaters, like, I'll probably make them superwash once they've gotten out of the stage of growing out of things immediately. I hope that made sense. Anyway, this is the sweater I'm knitting. So this is 4mm needles, and I'm following the pattern exactly. The only difference I've made is that, the same as the other version that I've made, the baubles that I'm using are not from the pattern. They're actually from the Sari Nordland's Foxberry sweater, because I really like the way that she does baubles. I think they stand out really well, and they're kind of easier to knit because you don't have to turn your knitting. And I really like that. I really like that a lot. So yeah, I'm just trying to finish this. I'm kind of stalling on it a little bit, but honestly, like, I just need to do one more repeat of the lace pattern and then bind off after some ribbing, and then the sleeves, and that should be super quick. So I've got a sort of soft goal of finishing this, and then my next work in progress, which is the sewing work in progress, which I'll show you right away since it's part of the whole big grouping. I want to have them done by the end of the week so I can mail them out to her. So the last thing for her that I am making, and I'm so close to finishing, honestly, it's probably about 3 hours away, if not less, is the quilt that I was making last time. I hadn't finished the quilt top last time. I was making blocks. I have finished the quilt top since then, and I basted it, and then I quilted it myself, because I A, do not have the time to get it quilted by anybody else, and B, like, it's smaller. It's a 60 by 60 quilt, so I don't need to get it sent off. Anyway, I'll show you. This does not show up well on video because it's such a low contrast quilt. So I've tried to film some like B-roll of it, and it just looks weird because it is so low contrast, but it's so cute. So this is the quilt. I won't be able to show all of it, obviously. I can show you a good block. So it's 9 blocks of this sort of, it's on purpose sort of scrappy looking. And I love it so much. It's so sweet. It's so cute. The seams are a pain in the ass because you have to press open your seams because of the way it's put together, and I am not a fan at all of doing that. But it's not so big that it takes, you know, inordinate amount of time. But it's super sweet. It's called Cozy Cabin, I think, Cozy Cabin, by Modernly Morgan. It's such a sweet pattern. And I used a fat quarter set that I got from Fat Quarter Shop. It's called Little Ducklings. It's so cute. So the pack that I got was 15 fat quarters, and you use up, for the body of the quilt, like the actual top of it, and I've cut out another one for myself in some really nice autumnal colors, you use 12 fat quarters pretty much entirely. Like, you have barely anything to spare. So the one I cut out of the autumnal ones, it was a 12 fat quarter pack, which is pretty standard, I think, 12 fat quarters. So I have to make a different binding for that one. But this one I used, it came with 15, so I used 12, and then I used 2 of the extra fat quarters to make the binding. So it's an alternating white and gray binding. And the way that I like to do my binding is I cut strips of 2 1/4 inch strips. sew them together on the diagonal, and then I like to iron it in half and not in there's single fold and double fold, which both have their benefits, I think. But the way I like to do it is I like to do just a single fold. So I sew them all on the diagonal, and then I sew the folded part to the quilt with a 1/4 inch seam, and then I just fold it over. And right now I've got it mostly clipped together with Wonder Clips. And I'm just sewing down the binding by hand, which is my preferred method. I have never sewn the binding completely down with a sewing machine, and I don't think I ever will. I really like hand sewing binding. I'm currently about 1/4 of the way around, and I just do a felling stitch, I think it's called. It's like a slip stitch to get the binding down, and then it looks really nice on the front. And I really like it. I just sewed in for no reason. I'm gonna sew in another tag too, but I sewed in this little strawberry tag because it's so cute. For no reason, just because I wanted to. But yeah, I'm almost done this. I just need to sit down. I'll probably continue watching Lord of the Rings because I do that all the time. And sew down the rest of the binding. And then I want to add a couple of ties because I did some machine quilting. You can see on the back a little bit better. Some straight line machine quilting, but I just want to add a few ties to make it look really cozy because you can't really see the machine quilting from the top because I did stitch in the ditch, so between my seams. So I just want to add a couple ties, and then it'll just look really cute and cozy. And I know she's going to love it so much. This is so her style. I'm really excited to finish it and send it to her. And I really want to start the next one that I have cut out in this pattern, but I got a parcel from my mother-in-law of 2 quilt tops that she quilted for me that I need to sew the binding on too. So I need to do that first, I think, to clear out a little bit of space, and then I can get on to making more quilts. I've got such a high drive for crafting, and it's been that way for months, and I do not have the time to do everything I want to do. Like, I want to knit everything, as you guys may have seen in the last little while. Like, I shouldn't say it. I kind of wish that I could absorb somebody's or trade with someone who's maybe got a little bit of like a knitting block. Can I have that a little bit? I'll give you my desire to make literally everything ever. I almost want to keep away from Ravelry and Instagram because every time I'm on there I see something else that I want to make. Because on Instagram I follow a lot of like cross stitch, quilting, and knitting folk. So it's just stuff. Speaking of cross stitch, I don't know if any of you remember when I showed that little pack of like magnet cross stitch patterns that I talked about. I was going to use that as a palette cleanser. So I was actually going to. I got the thing out, put my stuff away that I was working on, and I was going to do that as a quick palette cleanser. Open up the package, and I have had this for maybe 2 years. And I opened it, take everything out, and I had apparently, I have no memory of this, I had apparently already started one of the patterns. There was a few stitches done on the plastic canvas that it comes with. And there wasn't any thread in the pack at all. Not a single bit of it. So I don't know what I did with it. I think it was before we moved, but it's gone. I can't imagine it's anywhere. I've gone through all of my cross stitch stuff since we moved here, and I haven't seen anything. So I don't have it anymore. But there was I was on Pinterest yesterday and I found a free like download of a Halloween, it's one of those primitive Halloween things, and I really, really want to do just a quick cross stitch because I have a few cross stitches that I've started. They're like right in the middle, but I want something that's going to be done really fast, so I might do that, and I just need to dye up some Aida fabric for that because I have lots of undyed Aida, but this, like, if you go with the primitive design, it kind of has to be a little bit more like rustic and kind of stained and stuff. Anyway, there's a lot of long stories long today. You're welcome. My last work in progress that I'm going to talk about today is my Friday tee by PetiteKnit. And I swear I'm not going to just knit PetiteKnit patterns, but I really want to cast on the Ingrid. I saw, I think, is it Brooke of Popsicle Frog knit one, and it looks so good. Like, there's so many people who are knitting them right now, and they just look so good. I think I mentioned this already. That'll probably be one of my next one. But I still want to cast on the Piet. And then there's another, as I mentioned before, sweater that's both crocheted and knit together. It's called, I think it's called the Ariana sweater. It's a Barocco pattern. I'm just going to put a picture right here. I want to make this. I bought the yarn for it. So I'll be casting that on soon, hopefully. It is modular though, like I said, like you knit it or you don't knit it right away. You start with crochet and you crochet in like pieces, right? It's granny squares, and then you attach them. Anyway, I really want to start that. My last work in progress is my Friday tee by PetiteKnit, and I'm actually really surprised at how much progress I've made on this, considering that it is fingering weight on 3mm needles with broken rib. But I am past the sleeve separation, which is way more than I expected to have. I think the last time I showed it to you guys, I was on this brown stripe, this gray brown stripe. It's now to the point where it's just knitting in the round, and I think the nice thing about a pattern like this is that the color changes are going to keep you interested, and it's going well. I remember a while ago I said that by the time you get to the sleeve separation, there's 420 stitches. For my size, I'm making the medium size. There was 436 because I didn't read ahead in the pattern, and there was 4 more increase rows to do than I thought. So many stitches. So many stitches. It's actually kind of funny. I was going through the patterns, the project page on this pattern, and this goes up to a 5XL, but I don't know if I saw any pattern like project pages that went higher than a large, because like it's written to be for bigger sizes, but like that would be a lot of knitting. That would be a lot of knitting. Like, this is a lot of knitting. It's a labor of love for sure. And like a complete buffoon that I am, I'm considering making it long sleeve. Because I have the yarn for it, and it might be cute. I think by the time I finish the body, I'll decide. I just think having long sleeves, or longer sleeves, I don't think I would do full length, probably 3/4. I just think that would be nice. But I am using my own hand-dyed yarn. The base color is Pale Mushroom, and then I am using the Jolly Holiday mini skein set, the same set that I used in my nephew Axton's Friday sweater that I made him last year. And I will be having the mini skein sets in the shop in September as well. But yeah, this has no real, like, there's no deadline for it. I'm not gonna force myself to work on it if I don't want to. I do find it quite mindless, especially now that I don't have to do any increases, but yeah, there's no need for it to be done immediately at all. So that is my last work in progress that I'm actively working on. I do hope to, after I finish some of the baby stuff and I kind of clear my to-do list a little bit, hoping to work on some of my older sweaters to clear those needles, and then I can cast on a bunch of new things. And Christmas things, apparently. Some. I actually don't have that much. I say this now. I don't have that much that I'm planning on making. I've got pretty much everyone figured out, and I think there's only like 3 things maybe that I want to make. But it's not imperative, I guess. So, as far as acquisitions go, I've got kind of 2 that I want to show you today. The first one is actually a magazine. It's kind of dorky, to be perfectly honest. A magazine that I got when I was at Chapters the other day. So I saw this. It is Annie's Halloween. They do, oh, pardon me, teepers. They do, like, I think seasonal magazines. But this one has so many things that I would love to make, because I do want to be that person who decorates for almost every season. Just because I think it's heckin' cute. First off, because there's so many different crafts in here, these like crochet witches hats are so fun. I don't know why, but they really, they're so silly. The thing I want to make out of here the most actually is, okay, first off, here's this quilt. Absolutely gorgeous. But there's these baskets. Oh, there's like runners and table toppers. There's a couple patterns that I want to make of table toppers and stuff like that for the fall season. But I want to make a few of these. Just gorgeous baskets. And I really like that the stars aren't even. Oh, they're so cute. And they're just the perfect size for a lot of the shelves that I have. And then like right after are these pumpkins. And then there was, let's see. Oh, I love it. It's so cute. And so silly. And I have like quite a bit of, like, I'm a hoarder of craft supplies. I want to make this one so bad. And I have wool felt that I could make this with. Absolutely. But yeah, I have a lot of Halloween fabric and fall fabric and stuff like that just from years gone, just buying stuff randomly. I always have leftovers and everything. But yeah, I really want to make some things out of that for the Halloween season because we have a deck now on this house and it's just, we're a little bit more established. So by the time Halloween comes around, like this street that we're on is actually pretty good for decorating. So I just want to do a little bit more about that. And then, you know, we're actually going to be able to put pumpkins outside on our deck and it's going to be really nice. And honestly, this house is so kind of small. When Christmas rolls around, I'm genuinely considering putting the tree outside on our deck in front of our big window. Because a lot of my decorations that would go on the tree are actually like dried orange slices, and like I literally want to string popcorn on a string, and then they're like the wooden beads and ribbons and stuff like that. Like I don't really have Christmas decorations that are like overly precious and or can't go outside. So story time with Laura. So my last acquisition is very exciting. It is my Dean & Bean circular knitting machine. It's a sock machine. And here she is. I'm so excited. I got this last week, but I told myself I wasn't allowed to like set it up and figure it out until I finished some things. I didn't wait. So I got it out of its packaging on Thursday, and it does take a little bit to figure out like what you're even supposed to be doing, but I love it so much. I pre-ordered this on, well, I guess it's made to order, but they've got quite a bit of a backlog. I ordered this in April and I got it in August, which is exactly the amount of time that was sort of the time frame. And it's pretty much worth its weight in gold. It's not very heavy though. So this is a 3D printed circular sock machine. I got it with the 60 stitch cylinder, and I love it. I love it. I figured out today, or I suppose yesterday, I sort of figured out exactly the reason why I was having troubles with the earlier samples. If you have one and you're wondering, it's more weight. It needs a lot of weight in the... Anyway, this is a 3D printed circular sock machine, and it is, because it's 3D printed, it is significantly more affordable than, say, an Erlbacher Gearhart. Because those are fully made of metal and they're hardy. Like, okay, so this is what I would say. You are getting what you pay for. If you want something that's going to outlast you or your children, I would go with an Erlbacher. If you want it to just, if you're planning on using it for literally everything. I personally ordered this because I needed something to knit my sock samples for my colorways faster. Because I think I said last time, if I like a colorway, I won't like release it until I've knit a sample myself. So if that a lot of times meant that it was only the cuff and a couple inches into the leg, but that takes time. So I'm using this as a way to show myself what something looks like before I dye it for the shop. So I didn't need something that was going to, outlast me. So a 3D printed one works perfectly fine. This works great. It took me a little bit to figure out what I was supposed to be doing because I was a little lazy and didn't watch the videos that they provide on their website before I got it. But honestly, like after I figured it out, it's not hard. And you could knit a full sock from start to finish on this, but I doubt I'm ever going to use that function because they're short row heels or afterthought heels if you do a tube, and that just doesn't fit for me. I'm kind of hoping someone I know will fit an afterthought heel really well because I'm just gonna end up with a lot of tubes. But regardless, it's an easy way for me to visualize what I'm dyeing before I sell it, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's super great. It came, exactly on time of what I expected. It was a little bit of customs, but again, expected. And it wasn't hard to figure out at all. It was really great. They've got a lot of resources on their website and on YouTube and stuff like that. So it's pretty great. I'm pretty excited. I knit a tube of 50 grams in like less than 10 minutes from start to finish earlier, and it's very exciting. I was very excited. It's gonna give me so much time. I'm still probably going to knit like full pairs of sock samples of each colorway that's been approved, but it's getting rid of a lot of the trial and error for me, which is great. But those are my very silly acquisitions. Yeah, I've got a lot of things I want to be doing, and yeah, very highly creative energy right now, so I just need to get myself the time to do it. But yeah, that's all my stuff. I'm hoping to have the last bits. I'm kind of thinking I won't have the finished baby sweater and quilt to show next time, so I'll probably film all of the stuff together for next episode, but it will pave the way for other projects. Anyway, I have to go make myself some dinner and then take Gus for a W and stuff. So I will see you all next time, and I hope you have a wonderful time until then. So, see ya!